Hello, welcome to Stretford. Paddock, you're watching the review of Man United, who have just beaten Partizan Belgrade with their first away win since PSG in, 2001? When was it?
I think it was 1999.
It seems like it, doesn't it? United have just won an away game. What do you think?
I think it's great to have that rot over, but Christ almighty, that was another depressing
It was tough, wasn't it?
Europa League. I tell you what, I made the point in the stream that it was significantly less crap than what we've seen before. So it is progress.
It was still crap, but not as crap.
As crap. You got to have the demarcation, crap.
I think one of the exciting aspects about it was the fact that we saw Williams starting and Garner starting.
Yeah.
Winning a penalty as well.
Winning a penalty, Williams, with the wing-back sort of choice, which we'll talk about. But I think seeing those youth start and seeing those youth have a prominent role in the team made the bitter pill of only winning 1-0 in Belgrade.
Yeah, well, you say it's a bitter pill, but
an easy sort of pill to take.
I think that I was saying this before and sort of slightly, with a slightly sarcastically, slightly taking the piss, but we saw against the Rochdale match in the Alkmaar match. I genuinely think during this run since the PSG game, we would have struggled to beat any Football League side away from home. Yeah, we've been so bad, and we've been so bad at creating chances. And again, we were pretty poor at creating chances tonight. But I think to just get that win out of the way, to just just break that duck that we've had of just that awful run of. Do you know how many? I don't know how many games it was. I just know
about 13.
About 13 away games.
Something like that.
It was always going to be a difficult, scrappy, tricky performance, and one that where we didn't necessarily dominate, we didn't necessarily create loads of chances, and hopefully we can look at the stats now to look exactly what United's chances were like. Yeah, see, you can see there. Just 5 shots, only 1 shot on target, and I don't. Do penalties count as a shot on target?
I believe they do.
They do, yeah.
Yeah.
So the 1 shot on target was the penalty.
But then you can talk about shots being off target. We had Jesse Lingard hitting the post. We had Scott McTominay heading the ball.
Look
wide
at the key
from
passes
about
stat
2
though
yards
as well.
out.
Like they were more progressive than we were, kind of, in a lot of the games.
So it's one of those where it was very much a ground out victory, and European away games are not easy things to win, especially in Belgrade.
And we saw the atmosphere there tonight. It was an incredible atmosphere.
Immense.
Their whole crowd looked like it was, I don't know.
So, and this is it.
On
With the
steroids.
Europa League group stages especially, you grind out your away games.
Yeah.
You don't lose your away games, and you win your home games. And so far, we haven't lost either of our away games.
Exactly.
And we've won a home game. Now, they were not very inspiring wins,
No.
but they were wins nonetheless.
Yeah, and it's all about sort of progressing forward, and I think giving chances, like I said, to Garner and to Williams. To be honest, I don't think in the second half, especially, that Garner and McTominay as a midfield pairing was particularly well rounded, was particularly sturdy. I think a lot of chances of theirs came through the middle. But I think just giving people that kind of experience in a game that we did go on to win is massive for those.
I didn't think Garner looked out of place though.
And
No, you can't look at him and say, "Oh, that looks like a lad who's starting his first game." I think it's kind of obvious that he's been waiting in the wings for a while.
He looked comfortable on the ball.
No, he did, to be fair as well.
And that's an important part. If you're going to be a youth player and you're going to start your debut in a Europa League game in Belgrade under an incredible atmosphere from the Oppo fans, then to be the one takeaway to be you were comfortable on the ball and you didn't make too many mistakes is a positive to take away from that.
Yeah, and I think it was good. Another positive, just that we could have said before the game, but obviously it's the game's finished now. Letting Martial get those minutes, giving Rashford a rest, giving other players minutes, like we said. Ashley Young a rest as well, despite people not obviously being big fans of Ashley Young. I think he needed a break. Yeah. He's been playing a lot of games for a 34-year-old, and he's probably going to be playing again against Norwich on Sunday. I think just those sorts of things. And again, we saw the evolution and the continuation of that 3-5-2 style from United. What do you think to the formation? Did you think?
Well, that's what I was going to ask next. Would you stay or would you change or stick with the 3-5-2 or 5-3-2, whatever?
I personally would stick with whatever formation of it we have, having wing-backs. Because wing-backs enabled us. We have a problem with creativity now.
We don't have any natural wing-backs.
No, but we do have this problem with creativity in the midfield and getting, therefore, into the box. And we saw that throughout the game. One of the few times we managed to get the ball into the box in a dangerous position was via the wing-backs.
Yeah.
That's what wing-backs do for you. They provide an extra man on the overlap, which gets you another 5 feet towards their goal, which gets you another 5 feet into their box. And one of the times that the goal that we scored from the penalty was achieved via Williams bursting in through that overlap into the box providing us opportunity. I think that's going to be something going forward. Ole's noticed that we don't have the midfield to create chances, but what do we have? We do have wing backs who could perhaps provide the extra man.
All of a sudden, we've got an abundance of sort of ball playing centre backs. Like Phil Jones, he's got a mistake in him. We know that he's reckless. He gets injured a lot, but he's not too bad on the ball.
No,
and with Twanzebe and Maguire and Lindelof, we've got 5 ball playing centre backs there. And like you said, talking about the midfield, it's strange because often one of the criticisms of 3-5-2 or 5-3-2 is the fact that it leaves you light in midfield. But actually what it does for United is it alleviates some of the pressure on the fact that we don't have any good midfielders.
Yeah.
So in a way, taking a player out of the midfield is a positive for United rather than a bad thing like it can be for other teams.
I wouldn't be surprised now to see Aaron Wan-Bissaka being played as the right centre-back of a midfield three of Lindelof or Twanzebe, Maguire and Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and having someone like Ethan Laird, who was in the squad, come through as a wing-back. Because Brandon Williams, I think, really did look like he was bombing up and down that left-hand side.
Yeah, especially in the first half. I think second half, it almost seemed like United were aware of the fact that winning this game would be sort of a big kind of thing lifted off their shoulders, and they sat back and they made it look like Belgrade were a better team than they were. I think in the second half, I think first half United controlled the game relatively well. Despite them having a few chances, but second half United did look quite shaky.
No, United did look shaky, but I think the important thing to take away from this game is I don't think a lot of us would have really cared about how we played just as long as we won. Just breaking that streak of not winning away from home since Paris and whatever it was.
It's like, unfortunately we don't have the stats to hand, but I would have thought that the number of their shots, because they had more shots than us, but the number of those shots that came from outside of the box,
or in positions that weren't high chance.
I'd say it's probably bordering on almost 100% of them.
Yeah, they had one that I can think of inside the box where it was that Sadiq, who I think was their best player.
He was their best
certainly
player.
the most dangerous player. Had a ball that almost ended up being like a cross.
Yeah.
So that would count as a shot, but the ball was drilled and it was going well wide if it hadn't been blocked by a sort of a mixture of defence and their attackers. But yeah, like I said, I would like to see the expected goal scored as a stat, because like I said, a lot of the chances that they had were very low percentage shots, and I think the fact that they only had 12 on target and
12
and 5 on target, something. I think it sort of flatters them slightly in terms of the chances they created. But yeah, I think as we said, we saw again United struggling to make chances. I think Juan Mata was, as we picked up on during the watch along, he just looks like he's lost it, which is a real shame because he just doesn't. He can't. He's so slow, and his reactions are so slow that when the ball comes to him, he can't. He used to be able to overcome his sort of lack of physicality with a bit of a trick or a half step or a dummy. He's sort of even a step behind that now, and he just gets bullied. The ball comes up to him, and he can't win the ball.
I still think he does have a crucial place to play in this squad, given the fact that there are a lack of a lot of leaders there.
Yeah.
When you've got the likes of Angel Gomez coming through, they do need that kind of senior figure around them. And as much, we like to say about Juan Mata, he still is, he's been one of our most consistent players over the past 6-7 years or whatever.
We should be thankful that we got Juan Mata and that he's had the role that he has at the club. And like you said with Gomez, for example, from what I understand, Gomez and Juan Mata, they play very similar styles of football. And from what I understand, that they're actually like quite close. And Juan Mata has sort of taken on this sort of teacher role towards Gomez. And I think for the last season of his contract, he will be fulfilling that sort of player-coach role that Carrick did.
Like Carrick did, exactly.
Yes, exactly.
And like you said, more on your point, Kieran, where you're talking about how the consistency and how he can sort of be off the pitch. I think it's hard to know really, but he seems like he's one of the few players since we got here, certainly publicly, he has been in one of the first team members of the squad that hasn't looked like he wants to leave, that hasn't said a bad word about any of the managers, that's consistently had a good relationship with fans. And it can't be overstated how important it is to have some consistencies within the squad, especially when a lot of our top players have either been, or you look at the players who've been playing every week. Chris Smalley's played every week. The fans didn't like him. Phil Jones played every week. The fans didn't like him. Paul Pogba plays every week. He's talking about moving to other clubs. Like, Juan Mata's been a player that's played consistently and has never talked about leaving, has always been down the United line, has been good with the fans. And I think, like I said, having someone like that in the dressing room is really important.
I think it's a testament to how much of a true professional he is as well.
Exactly.
Even like Chelsea fans would say they love Juan Mata as well.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that they say they don't love Jose... Oh, Arsenal nearly 1-0 down there as well, sorry. We're watching the Arsenal game in the background, by the way.
We're going to keep an eye on the current events.
But no, exactly. He's a true professional. I think Chelsea fans would agree as well. And he just is...
He's the nicest man in football. He is the nicest man in football. And Juan Mata, partly for that reason, and also partly because technically on his day, wonderful. He's one of my favourite footballers to watch. I remember on Boxing Day against Huddersfield last season, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first home game as United manager. Yeah. He receives this throw in and
was he the 4-0.
Yes,
3-1.
but he
No,
volley passes it and he volley switches the ball across the pitch. And it's a
I remember
pass.
that ball as well.
Oh my good lord, it's wonderful. But
yeah, tonight
maybe he doesn't quite stand up to how Ole wants to play his first team football.
Yeah, and also talking about how he wants to play that first team football and talking about Ole's first few games in charge, an ever-present member of that team was Jesse Lingard, who we saw back from injury tonight. And you know what? First off, I didn't think he was bad. I thought
nearly scored.
Like you said, exactly. He nearly scored the goal.
He
It was a side foot from
well.
18 yards out, and he's one of the best pressers in the club, I think, at United. And I think, people talk about this stat of him not scoring, not getting any goals. No one's scoring or getting any goals for United. So I think maybe that's partly players like Lingard's fault for not creating enough chances, but looking at the actual goal scoring statistics of any United player at the moment doesn't make for good reading.
No, look, I'll always be a valiant defender of Jesse Lingard. I've always said, if you look at that City game last year when we played the derby at home, when he came off with an injury, the game changed completely from a pressing game. But I do think that stat, if we're talking about lack of creativity in this United team, if you're playing an attacking midfielder who doesn't have a goal and assist for nearly a year, it's not a good stat. No. And I can't stress enough how he is worth a place in this squad. Maybe as a squad player, at least, whatever you must say.
A squad player,
But if he really wants to solidify himself, he really needs to get that.
The problem with United at the moment, more sort of rather than tonight, but generally, is the fact that under Ferguson and under these successful managers, you have in any team, you have 3 or 4 players that you think, well, they're not good enough to win 5 Premier Leagues. But they do because they're surrounded by top players. We've got 9 of those players in our team. We've got De Gea, Pogba, who are world-class players, and then 9 players who you could fit them in a league-winning team, but you can't have 9 of them. So I think it's a finger you could point at almost anyone in the squad.
Absolutely.
But I think, of course, like you said, the statistics of him not getting any goals or assists in 2019 are pretty damning. But I think it's just good to have players coming back from injury. And finally, one of the last people who came back from injury, we saw him get a goal tonight, was Anthony Martial. What do you think to his performance outside of the goal?
So his performance outside of the goal was very average. I think he does have this tendency, and I think Rashford has this problem when he was playing as a number 9, was he would drop quite deep and to the wing. And I think Martial was doing that today a bit too much. However, he was getting minutes on the clock. Martial's come back from injury. He needs to get minutes on the clock, solidify his fitness, solidify his ability to be able to play first team football. And then from there we can go forward. And I think Ole needs to take him aside and say, hey, look, I know that you can play winger and you've played winger a lot, but you are a striker. End of the day, stay in the box, stay central, go forward. And I think we need to go with Rashford. We need to go, you're a winger, son.
You're on the way.
And,
What do you think to Martial today, Kieran?
I think, echoing on what Patrick said, there's not a lot to take away from his performance. Tactically, you're talking movement. Look, he got the winning goal at the end of the day, giving him minutes on the pitch. It's match fitness. I think realistically, not many of us were looking to tonight as maybe a crucial game. Even if we drop points, well, it would obviously getting the wins a massive thing, but everyone's focus is on
like you said, it's about picking up the points at home in the group stages.
But I think everyone's focus right now is on Norwich on Sunday. Sunday, whatever day it is.
That's the game that we have to win by a couple goals.
You tarnish that streak league-wise as well domestically. I think that sends out a lot of signals, especially after the Liverpool result.
Just as the last thing, then, looking forward to that Norwich game. This sort of streak has been broken now, as we've seen. Do you think that just getting the win, however it may have happened tonight, do you think that increases our chances of winning on Sunday?
Yeah, 100%. I think it didn't matter about
Arsenal are losing, by the way.
Arsenal are losing, and I picked the night to pick Arsenal to win both halves. So anyway,
Norwich,
going on from what I was saying, not distracting this, I think it doesn't matter performance-wise. I think the result was what was important tonight, especially taking away to someone like Norwich on Sunday.
I can only echo those statements. To have a win away in a tough atmosphere, at a team that would play hard football and would come at you in
with
the
a
second
lot of
half,
inexperienced youngsters for United,
with a lot of inexperienced youngsters for United. Having the goal won by this new wing-back system as well, the penalty, and then Martial putting it away, who you want to have minutes and get confidence. It's good. And people will go online, they'll be criticising only a 1-0 victory. Look,
We needed a victory.
This is going to be a really tough season.
Yeah.
We need to grind out victories like this.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, we've seen that tonight. We've seen United grind out the victory. Let us know in the comments what you thought to the game, whether you think that 1-0 is the most important thing or whether you would have liked to have seen a more sort of fluid, expansive performance from United. And give us as well your score prediction for Norwich based on what we've seen tonight. Thanks very much for joining me, lads. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us for the watch-along as well. We're going to have all the build-up to the Norwich match, of course, and plenty more coming on Stretford Paddock. So be sure to stay tuned in for all that. And we'll see you next time.
See you later.